She was still smiling when she opened the kitchen door. That's what I remember most. Not the tan, not the designer luggage, not even the faint smell of expensive cologne that wasn't mine. It was the smile. Confident, careless. The smile of someone who thinks they've gotten away with something. Then she saw Sophie sitting at our kitchen table. The smile faded. Before we continue, we ask you to hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We would like to get to know our audience better. Daniel? Eloise's voice went up half an octave. Her fingers tightened around the suitcase handle until her knuckles went white. What's going on? I didn't answer. Just took another sip of my coffee and turned the page of the newspaper I wasn't really reading. Sophie, to her credit, stayed perfectly calm. She'd been here 20 minutes already, and she'd barely moved. Just sat there in her gray sweater and jeans, hands wrapped around a mug I'd given her. Sophie looked up at my wife with a pleasant, almost friendly expression. So, Eloise, she said, voice steady as a surgeon's hand. How was your trip with my husband? The suitcase hit the floor. I watched Eloise's face cycle through expressions like a broken slot machine. Confusion, recognition, fear. Then, finally, that desperate calculation I'd seen 100 times before when she was cornered. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. I don't know what you're talking about, she managed. This is insane. Daniel, who is this woman? Careful, I said, still not looking up. The coffee's hot. Sophie set her mug down with a soft click. She pulled a folded paper from her pocket and smoothed it on the table. I'd printed it for her this morning. Booking confirmation for the Caribbean cruise. 2 tickets, 2 names. Suite 447, Harper, E. Mitchell, G. You used your maiden name, Sophie said. Smart. No, but Garrett used his real one. He always does. Says it's a matter of professional integrity. She laughed once, sharp and humorless. Professional integrity. Eloise's eyes darted between us. I could see her mind working, trying to find the angle, the lie that would work. She'd always been good at that. Convincing, persuasive. It's what made her a successful marketing consultant. She could sell anything, even her own innocence. This is a misunderstanding, she said, stronger now. Yes, I went on a cruise, but it was with the girls, I told you, Rachel and Amanda. This is some kind of mistake. I called Rachel, I said. Flat. Factual. She said you canceled on her 3 weeks ago. Said you needed to go alone for mental health reasons. Very thoughtful of you to prioritize self-care. The color drained from her face. Sophie pulled out her phone. I have the credit card statements, the shared suite, the couple's massage package, the champagne delivery at 11 p.m. on the second night. She scrolled, clinical. The breakfast for 2, ordered to your room every morning. Suite 447, same room, same name, same charges. You hacked. I didn't hack anything, Sophie said. Garrett's not as careful as he thinks. He saved the confirmation email on our shared computer. I found it while looking for tax documents. She paused. He labeled the folder Conference Materials. Very creative. I finally looked up at Eloise. She was trembling now, that perfect facade cracking like cheap plaster. I'd seen this coming for months. The new passwords on her phone, the sudden interest in fitness classes that ran until 9 p.m., the way she'd started doing her makeup differently, buying perfume she never wore around me. I'm not a detective. I just fix things for a living. Phones, laptops, tablets. You learn to spot the cracks before they spread. A device tells you everything if you know how to look. People are the same way. 6 weeks ago, I was replacing a screen on a customer's iPhone. Nice woman. Professional. She made small talk while I worked, mentioned her husband worked in private security for Sentinel Secure. Said his name was Garrett Mitchell. I remembered that name. I'd seen it 3 days earlier, in Eloise's browser history when I'd used her laptop to check our bank account. She'd forgotten to close the travel booking site. 2 tickets, Harper, E. Mitchell, G. I didn't confront her. Not then. I just watched. Waited. Fixed her phone when she asked, smiled when she kissed me goodbye before her girls' trip, and made a single phone call. Is this Sophie Mitchell? I'd said. You don't know me, but I think we need to talk about our spouses. She'd been quiet for a long moment. Then, what time? Now Sophie stood, gathering her things. She looked at Eloise, and I saw something I hadn't expected. Not rage, pity. I didn't come here to scream, Sophie said. I'm not going to cry or beg. I just wanted to see your face when you realized you weren't as clever as you thought. She slung her purse over her shoulder. Good luck explaining this to your clients. I'm sure they'll love the authenticity. She walked past Eloise without another word. The front door closed with a soft click. The kitchen was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and Eloise's ragged breathing. She turned to me, and I saw her eyes fill with tears. The performance was starting. "Daniel, please, let me explain." "Sit down," I said. "We need to talk about money." Her face went blank. "What? Money, assets, division of property." I folded the newspaper and set it aside. The joint checking account, the credit cards, the car registration, the Netflix password, all of it. I looked at her directly for the first time since she'd walked in. "Sit down, Eloise. This is going to take a while." She didn't move, just stood there, mouth opening and closing like a fish on a dock. I said sit. She sat. I pulled out a notepad from the kitchen drawer. I'd been making lists for 2 days, ever since I'd confirmed what I already knew. Every shared account, every subscription, every bill that had both our names on it, every single thread that connected our lives together. "The checking account has $42,000 in it," I said. "You put in maybe $8,000 of that over the last year. I put in the rest. The savings account, another $60,000. My inheritance from my father. You didn't contribute to that at all." "Daniel, this is—" "I'm not finished." I kept my voice level, cold. "The house is in my name. I bought it 3 years before we got married. You're not on the deed. The car you drive, a 2023 Honda CR-V, is leased under my name, insurance under my name, registration under my name." Her face was white now. "You're trying to control me." "No, Eloise. Controlling would be keeping you here. This is just accounting." I clicked my pen. "Your phone plan, my account, your laptop. I bought it. The ring on your finger, the one you're still wearing, that was $11,000. My money?" She looked down at her hand like she'd forgotten it was there. "The furniture in this house, I can provide receipts for 90% of it. The TV, the sound system, the appliances, all purchased by me. Your influencer equipment, the camera, the lighting setup, the editing software subscriptions, all running through my credit card." "Stop it," she whispered. "Why? You wanted freedom. I'm just showing you what freedom looks like." I set the pen down. "You've been living in a life I built, spending money I earned, driving a car I pay for, sleeping in a house I own, and you spent the last 6 months planning a vacation with another woman's husband using my credit card points." She started crying. Real tears this time, I think. Hard to tell with Eloise. "I love him," she said. "I didn't mean for it to happen, but I love him." "Then go be with him," I stood up. "But you go with what's yours, and Eloise, you need to understand something. Almost nothing here is yours." She looked up at me, mascara running down her cheeks. "You're going to leave me with nothing?" "I'm going to leave you with exactly what you brought into this marriage. Your clothes, your personal items, your car, once you get your own insurance and registration, whatever money you've saved in your personal account." I picked up my coffee mug, realized it was empty. "You made a choice. Choices have consequences. Welcome to yours." "I could fight you," she said. "Get a lawyer. Take half of everything. You could try." I rinsed the mug in the sink, but then I'd have to show the court the credit card statements, the cruise, the hotel visits before that, the restaurant receipts from places you told me you were working late, all of it, and I'd have to explain how you used marital funds for an affair while telling me you needed space for your mental health. Her crying stopped, just like that. "You've been tracking me?" "I've been watching our accounts. There's a difference." I dried my hands on a towel. "You got sloppy, Eloise. You always do when you think you're smarter than everyone else." She stood up, shaking. "I'm leaving." "Good idea. Take what you need for a few days. I'll box up the rest of your things. You can pick them up next week." "Where am I supposed to go?" "I don't know. Maybe Suite 447. I walked past her toward my workshop. "Lock the door on your way out." I heard her behind me, scrambling for her suitcase, her footsteps quick on the hardwood floor. The front door opened, slammed shut. Her car started in the driveway, then silence. I sat down at my workbench and pulled out the phone I'd been repairing before all this started. Cracked screen, simple fix, just needed patience and steady hands. Some things you can fix. Some things you just have to let break. The first thing I disconnected was the Wi-Fi. Not permanently, just her devices. MAC address filtering is built into most routers, and most people don't even know it exists. I woke up at 5 a.m., went downstairs while Eloise was still asleep in the guest room, and logged into the router settings. Found her phone, her laptop, her tablet. Clicked, 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 blocked. Then I made myself breakfast. Scrambled eggs, toast, orange juice. I ate slowly, watching the sun come up through the kitchen window. The house was quiet. peaceful. I'd forgotten what that felt like. By 7, she was awake. I heard her stumbling around upstairs, probably trying to check her Instagram before she even brushed her teeth. Old habits. Then silence. Then footsteps, faster now, coming down the stairs. "Daniel?" She appeared in the kitchen doorway, phone in hand, face confused. "The internet's not working." "It's working fine." I didn't look up from my eggs. "Check the router." "I did. My phone won't connect. Neither will my laptop." "Huh." I took a bite. "Weird." She stared at me. I could feel it, that moment of realization starting to creep in. "Daniel, did you? I removed your devices from the network. Everything you access was connected through accounts I created and paid for. I logged you out." I set my fork down and looked at her. "You wanted freedom. I'm giving it to you." Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. "The credit cards, too," I continued. "The joint ones. I called the bank yesterday. You're no longer an authorized user. The car insurance we share? I removed you from the policy. You'll need to get your own. The meal kit subscription, the streaming services, the cloud storage for your influencer photos." I shrugged. "All disconnected." "You can't do that," she whispered. "I just did. Everything was in my name. You had access, now you don't." I stood, rinsed my plate in the sink. "You should probably call Garrett. I'm sure he'll help you figure it out. He seems resourceful." She tried to say something else, but I was already walking toward the garage. I had a laptop repair scheduled for 8:30. A cracked screen, simple fix. Some things are easier to repair than others. The day moved like any other day. Customers came in with broken devices. I fixed them, took payments, made small talk. Nobody knew that my marriage had imploded. Nobody asked. I liked it that way. Around 11, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "We need to talk." I knew who it was. I deleted it. By noon, Eloise had tried the credit cards. I knew because I got 3 fraud alerts on my phone. Declined, declined, declined. By 2, she'd called her mother, probably trying to explain why she needed money without explaining why she needed money. By 4, she'd left the house, taken an Uber somewhere. I didn't care where. I closed the shop at 5:30 and drove to the grocery store. I needed to restock: milk, eggs, bread, coffee, the basics. I walked the aisles slowly, taking my time. No one was waiting for me at home. No one was going to complain about what I bought or didn't buy. I grabbed a 6-pack of beer. Good beer, the kind Eloise said was too expensive. Then I added a steak. Thick cut. Expensive. Why not? At the checkout, the cashier smiled at me. "Having a good evening?" "Getting better," I said. When I got home, Eloise's car wasn't in the driveway. The house was dark. I unlocked the door, flipped on the lights, and unpacked the groceries. Then I opened a beer and sat on the couch. My phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. "Answer your phone or I'm coming to your shop." I blocked the number. I grilled the steak, made a salad, and ate dinner while watching the news. Some senator was in trouble for something. A storm was coming up the coast. Gas prices were up again. Normal things, boring things, good things. Around 8, there was a knock at the door. I knew who it was before I opened it. Garrett stood on my porch, wearing a Sentinel secure polo and that expression men get when they think intimidation is the same as authority. He was trying to look calm, professional, but I could see the tension in his jaw, the way his hands were clenched at his sides. "We need to talk," he said. "I don't think we do." I didn't move from the doorway. "Man to man. Let's handle this like adults." "Adults don't sleep with other people's wives on Caribbean cruises," I said. "They also don't show up uninvited at people's homes. There's a camera above your head, by the way. Say hi." He glanced up, saw the security camera I'd installed last year, and his jaw tightened. Good. Let him feel watched for once. "Look," he said, forcing his voice into something calmer. "I get it. You're upset. But this doesn't have to get ugly. Eloise and I, we didn't plan this. It just happened." "Nothing just happens," I said. "You bought tickets, booked a suite, planned excursions. Those are choices, not accidents. She's not happy with you. She hasn't been for a long time. And you're the hero who saved her?" I leaned against the doorframe. "Let me guess. She told you I was controlling, emotionally distant, didn't understand her creative spirit." His face flickered. "Bingo." "She tells everyone that," I said. "It's her signature move. Makes her the victim, makes you the hero. Very effective. How many times did you save her from her terrible marriage while you were booking that suite?" "You don't know anything about us. I know you're about to lose your job." I crossed my arms. Sentinel Secure has a morality clause in their contracts. I looked it up. Section 12, Paragraph 4. Infidelity, especially when it damages the company's reputation, is grounds for immediate termination. I sent your HR department a very detailed email this morning. Included photos from the cruise. Somebody posted them online, tagged the ship's name and your company. Wasn't hard to find. The color drained from his face. You didn't? He said. I did. Check your work email. Oh, wait. I smiled. Maybe you already have. You son of a... That's the second time today someone's tried to make me the villain, I said. But I'm not the one who broke my marriage vows. I'm not the one who lied. I'm just the one who stopped pretending not to notice. He stepped closer, and I could smell cologne, sweat, desperation. You're going to regret this. You run security for a living, Garrett. You know how fast information spreads, how permanent digital footprints are. You know exactly how badly you screwed up. I pushed off the doorframe, stood straighter. Now get off my property before I call the real police. He moved fast, grabbed my shirt, shoved me against the doorframe. His face was inches from mine, red now, breathing hard. You think you're smart? He hissed. You're just a small-time repair guy who couldn't keep his wife happy. I didn't move, just looked at him. And you're a security professional who couldn't secure his own career. Seems like we both failed at something. He pulled back his fist. I was ready for it this time. Turned my shoulder, took the hit on muscle instead of face. It hurt, but not as much as he wanted. Then I grabbed his wrist, twisted, and used his own momentum to spin him sideways. He stumbled off the porch, caught himself on the railing. Next time you try to punch someone, I said, make sure they're not expecting it. He straightened up, breathing hard. This isn't over. Yes, it is. You just don't know it yet. I stepped back inside. Leave, Garrett, before you make this worse. He stood there for a long moment, chest heaving, eyes wild. Then he turned and walked back to his car, a black SUV with tinted windows. He slammed the door hard enough that I heard it from inside my house. I watched him drive away, then locked the door and went back to my beer. My phone buzzed. A text from Eloise. Garrett said you attacked him. I replied, Garrett lied. Check the camera footage if you want proof. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. I hate you. No, you don't. You're just mad I stopped being useful. I blocked her number too. 2 days later, I heard through a mutual acquaintance that Eloise was trying to salvage her reputation at a networking event downtown. Some marketing mixer at one of those trendy loft spaces with exposed brick and overpriced cocktails. She'd been telling people her version of events. The abusive husband, the controlling behavior, the brave escape. I decided to attend. The venue was exactly what I expected. Lots of chrome and glass, Edison bulbs hanging from the ceiling, a bar made from reclaimed wood. Eloise was near the center of the room, surrounded by a small crowd of people I vaguely recognized from her Instagram. She was animated, performing, doing that thing where she touched people's arms when she talked. I stood near the back and listened. Completely blindsided me, she was saying. I mean, I knew he had control issues, but I never thought he'd cut me off from everything. My phone, my accounts, everything. It's financial abuse, basically. A woman in a blazer nodded sympathetically. That's terrible. Have you talked to a lawyer? I'm looking into it. But honestly, I just want to move on with my life. Start fresh. I've been through so much. I walked to the front of the room where they had a projector set up for presentations. Someone had left a laptop connected to it, probably for slideshows. I pulled out my phone, found the video I'd downloaded earlier that day, and connected via Bluetooth. It took 30 seconds. The screen behind the bar flickered. Then the video played. It had been posted by another cruise passenger, just a random tourist who'd filmed the sunset from the upper deck. Beautiful shot, orange sky, calm ocean. And there, in the background, clear as day, Eloise and Garrett, kissing, his hand on her waist, her laughing, touching his face. The timestamp was in the corner. The ship's name was in the caption. The hashtag read, Sentinel Trip 2025. Someone noticed first. Pointed, then another. Then the whole room went quiet. Eloise turned, saw the screen, and froze. The video kept playing. 30 seconds of her kissing another man, 30 seconds of proof. I didn't say a word, just stood there, phone in hand, watching her face cycle through every emotion at once. Shock, horror, panic. The video looped. Played again. She tried to speak. Her mouth moved, but nothing came out. I walked past her toward the door. Someone said, Eloise, is that you? I didn't stay to hear her answer. By the time I got to my truck, my phone was blowing up. Text from numbers I didn't recognize. Screenshots of the video being shared, comments rolling in on social media. Someone had already made a meme. I turned my phone off and drove home. The next morning, Garrett's company announced an internal ethics review. By noon, he was placed on administrative leave. By evening, someone had leaked the story to a local business blog. Small story, barely 2 paragraphs, but enough. Sentinel Secure employee under investigation for conduct violations. His name wasn't mentioned. It didn't need to be. I went to work like normal, fixed a tablet with a broken charging port, replaced a battery in an iPhone, helped an elderly woman set up her email. Normal day. Around 3, Eloise showed up at the shop. She looked different. No makeup, hair in a messy ponytail, sweatpants and a t-shirt. She'd been crying. "Can we talk?" she asked. "No." "Daniel, please. I know I messed up, but..." "You didn't mess up," I said. "You made choices, multiple choices. Over months. You don't get to call that a mistake." "I'm sorry." "I don't care." I went back to the phone I was working on. "You need to leave?" "Where am I supposed to go?" "I don't know, Eloise. Maybe ask Garrett." "Oh, wait." I looked up. "He's probably busy dealing with his unemployment." Her face crumpled. "You destroyed his life." "No. He destroyed his life. I just turned on the lights. I set down my tools. You both thought you were so clever, sneaking around, using fake names, booking romantic getaways, but you forgot the most important thing." "What?" "Everything leaves a trail. Everything. And eventually someone follows it." I picked up the phone again. "Now leave. I have work to do." She stood there for another moment, then turned and walked out. The door chimed behind her. I didn't see her again for 3 days. Then, on a Tuesday night, I got a text from an unknown number. "This isn't over." I looked out the window. Dark clouds were rolling in. The weather report had said rain all week. I texted back, "Yes, it is." But I was wrong. The rain started slow, just a drizzle, but by 9 p.m. it was coming down in sheets. I was sitting in my truck in the driveway, engine off, watching the storm roll in. I'd seen Garrett's SUV pass by twice already, slow, deliberate, circling. He wanted me to know he was coming. People think anger makes you stupid. Sometimes it does. But calculated rage, the kind that's been building for days, fed by humiliation and loss and the complete destruction of everything you thought was yours, that kind makes you dangerous. Garrett wasn't just mad. He was unraveling. I'd taken everything from him. His job, his reputation, his future at Sentinel Secure, the woman he thought he loved, and he blamed me for all of it. Like I'd been the one who booked that cruise suite, who'd kissed someone else's wife on a ship deck while tourists filmed the sunset, who'd been stupid enough to use his real name. He guarded others for a living. Now he couldn't even guard himself. The headlights appeared again, coming up fast this time. The SUV swerved into my driveway, tires screeching on wet pavement, and slammed into the fence at the edge of my property. Metal crunched, wood splintered. My security light flared on, bright and stark in the rain, illuminating the damage. I got out of my truck slowly. Garrett exploded from the driver's side, soaked instantly, hair plastered to his skull, shirt clinging to his chest. He was screaming something, but the rain drowned it out. I could see Eloise in the passenger seat, her pale face pressed against the window, watching with wide eyes. He came at me like a freight train. I stepped left. His fist sailed past my ear, close enough that I felt the air move. He was strong, but sloppy. Rage made him predictable, made him forget everything he probably learned in whatever self-defense courses his company required. He swung again, wild and wide, and I caught his wrist, used his momentum to spin him into the side of his own SUV. He hit hard. The metal boomed. Then he bounced off and came at me again, not learning, not thinking. This time he connected. His fist caught my jaw, snapped my head back. Pain burst behind my eyes, a blinding white flash, then a wave of red. I tasted metal, felt warmth on my tongue. I drove my shoulder into his stomach. We both went down into the mud, grappling, sliding in the rain. He was on top of me, hands around my throat, squeezing, thumbs pressing into my windpipe. I couldn't breathe. The rain hammered my face, ran into my eyes, my nose. I slammed my palm into his nose, felt cartilage crunch under my hand. He screamed, jerked back, hands flying to his face. Red poured between his fingers, blending with the rain and mud running down his chin. I pushed him off, rolled, and got my feet under me. I stood, breathing hard, my ribs aching. He was on his knees in the mud, gasping, rain streaming down his face. The water washed away the red as quickly as it appeared, tinting the ground around him. "You ruined everything," he gasped, water and dirt mixed as he struggled for air. "My career, my life, everything I worked for." I stood over him, still catching my breath. My jaw ached where he'd hit me, my shirt torn and smeared with mud. I looked down at the man who'd helped tear apart my marriage, the one who had walked into my shop as if he ruled the world, now kneeling in the mud and rain, defeated and small. I reached down and pulled his Sentinel Secure ID badge from his shirt pocket. He tried to grab my hand, but he was too weak, too broken. His fingers just scraped uselessly at my wrist. I took his car keys, too, the ones with the company keychain attached, a little metal shield with the company logo. Then I walked to the edge of the driveway where the gutter was overflowing, a river of rainwater rushing toward the storm drain. I held up the badge and keys so he could see them clearly, made sure he understood what was about to happen. "You protect people for a living," I said, voice steady despite the rain, despite the pain. "Who protects you now?" I dropped them. The water swept them away instantly, tumbling them toward the drain, gone in seconds. Garrett made a sound that wasn't quite a word, somewhere between a sob and a scream. He reached toward the drain with one shaking hand, but it was pointless. They were gone. Everything he was, everything he represented, washed away into the dark. I turned to the SUV. Eloise was still in the passenger seat, staring at me through the rain-streaked window. Her makeup had run, black streams down her cheeks. Her perfect hair was a mess. She looked small, afraid. Nothing like the confident woman who'd walked through my door with a suitcase and a smile. I walked to her window. She didn't roll it down. Just looked at me through the glass, trembling. I held her eyes and said 2 words. "Access revoked." Her face crumpled. She started crying, really crying, shoulders shaking. But I was already turning away, walking back to my truck. My hands were scraped and bleeding. My jaw felt like someone had hit it with a hammer. But I felt nothing inside. Nothing but cold satisfaction. I got in my truck, started the engine. The headlights cut through the rain. In the rearview mirror, I could see Garrett still on his knees in the mud. Eloise finally opened her door, moved toward him, trying to help him up. He pushed her away. Even now, at the end, they were falling apart. I put the truck in reverse, backed out carefully around the damaged fence, and drove away down the street. The rain kept falling. The wipers beat a steady rhythm. My jaw ached. My knuckles were scraped and bleeding, but I felt nothing. She once told me I couldn't fix everything. Maybe she was right. I just learned to recognize what couldn't be repaired. Some things can be saved. Others you simply have to let go. The engine roared as I turned onto the main road, and the house disappeared behind me into the rain and the dark.